Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Vandana Chakravarti, Director Lifelong Learning and Extension in SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Today we are going to learn about use of modern teaching aids. Let us look at the learning objectives. At the end of this module, the learner will be able to explain modern teaching aids and their uses, and use appropriate aids to support the learning process. Teaching method comprises of the principles and methods used by teachers that enable the learner to learn. Factors such as the subject matter to be taught, the nature of the learner, and the capacity of the teacher play an important role in determining the strategies that will be deployed for teaching learning. For a particular teaching method to be appropriate and efficient, it has to be in relation with the characteristics of the learner and the type of learning it is supposed to bring about. The approaches for teaching can be broadly classified into teacher-centered and learner-centered. A teacher-centered approach to teaching learning points at centrality of the teacher. The teachers are the main authority figures in this model. Learners are considered as empty vessels. Their primary role is to passively receive information with an end goal of testing and assessment. The primary role of teachers is to pass knowledge and information to the learners. In learner-centered approach, teachers and learners play an equally active role in the learning process. The teacher's primary role is to facilitate learning. Learning is measured through both formal and informal methods of assessment. Conventional teaching methods include lecture, demonstration, recitation, memorization, or combination of these. Modern teaching methods, on the other hand, incorporate television, radio, internet, multimedia, and other modern devices. Teaching aids can be defined as tools which the instructor or teachers use to help the learners in a way that can make them easily understand and comprehend what is taught to them. The teaching aids can improve the reading, writing, and communication skills of the learners. In an easy illustrative way, the teaching aids can also reinforce whatever ideas, facts, or skills that have already been learnt by them. User-friendly and interactive teaching aids help to remove the anxiety, fear, boredom, or other complex negative feelings which the learners may develop while learning in the center or the class. Modern teaching aids include audiovisual films and documents, audiovisual films and documentaries, digital storytelling, grassroots comics, radio or television, educational CDs and DVDs, projectors, computers and laptops, computer-based educational games, interactive whiteboards or so-called smart boards, and many other such devices currently in use. Let us now look at some of the important modern teaching aids in teaching learning process. Newspapers or news bulletin boards are in this category. The daily newspapers can be an effective teaching aid. They are full of information about the general economic and social life of the people. They are in fact the minimum textbook for the study of current affairs. Modern teaching aims at correlating different areas like social, political, economic amongst themselves. Newspaper contains a reservoir of resources and illustrations. News bulletin news bulletin boards may be used for displaying interesting pictures and news stories. The display contains news of local interest, news of national and international relevance, and even entertainment like a variety of jokes, for instance. While using newspapers or news bulletin boards as teaching aids, the instructor needs to pay attention to certain points. It is important that the material being displayed should be in accordance with the needs and interest of the learners. Information to be displayed should be in proper sequence. The learners may also be given a chance to display their collective materials on the bulletin board. This gives them a feeling of ownership. News connected with their own lives in the community is read with great interest by the learners. Every piece of information should have its own heading. Now, models, specimens and other objects are also useful teaching aids. Models of parts of human body and many other models depicting the replica of things taught in the center or class, as well as toy models of objects like fruits, vegetables, etc., can also be used in the teaching learning process for the learners. Flannel boards consists of a piece of flannel stretched tightly over a strong backing of plywood. The items to be depicted on the flannel board should be pasted with small piece of sandpaper glued behind them so that it can be made to stick on the flannel board. Depicting pictures or materials on flannel board facilitates the movement of items from one place to another. Now, magnetic boards are also very handy teaching aids. Magnetic board is a modification of the flannel board. Instead of flannel, a metallic sheet is fixed on the plywood. Small magnets are used to hold the materials to be exhibited on the metallic boards. Grassroots comics are often used as teaching aids. Grassroots comics are different from mainstream comics. These comics are made by the common people themselves, by the learners. These comics are then photocopied and distributed amongst the learners in the center or in the classroom. This encourages the learner to learn. Grassroots comics are inexpensive and method used is not at all complicated. You just require a pen, a paper and access to a copying machine to produce one. One more important thing in these comics is the proximity of source of communication and the learners. Comics are stories which are told with images and texts that contain a lot of speech and dialogue. They become grassroots comics when they are made by the instructor or the teacher from the local area. Such comics deal with local issues and use local language as well as local visual culture and metaphors. Comics have an authentic feel that encourages debate in the center or the class, and they can be made by groups or by individual learners who normally have little or no access to the media. Digital storytelling is an innovative teaching aid. Storytelling is a traditional form of communication. Digital storytelling is the modern expression of ancient art of storytelling. A digital story usually takes the form of relatively short story of less than 8 minutes. It combines narrated piece of personal writing, photographs and still images and the musical soundtrack. The role of the instructor or the teacher in the center would primarily be in using digital stories to make teaching learning environment lively and educational. While using digital storytelling, the teacher must remember to identify appropriate digital stories that can be used in the literacy center. Inform the learners about it well in advance. Arrange for equipment needed like computer, CD player, CD and screen, etc. for using the digital stories. Make a brief introduction about the story before showing the digital stories. Radio and television also find a place amongst the modern teaching aids. At present, several radio stations, including FM and community radio, regularly produce episodes for all types of people, including beneficiaries of literacy center in remote areas. Based on numerous experiments and studies, the broadcasts have been made as self-sufficient and feasible to ensure that the messages of the broadcast reaches the learner in literacy center when the necessary assistance is not provided by the instructors or teachers. Listening to broadcast of dramas, narration of stories, rendering of classical, instrumental and light music helps towards harmonious development of growth of learners and make them fit to be useful members of society. Unlike radio broadcast where only the sound is transmitted, television transmission has the added advantage of all visual experience which make the more dynamic and which is made more dynamic and meaningful by the movement and sound associated with visual experience. The role of television in adult education is similar in many aspects to that of radio. Communication by TV is effective because it can bring very good demonstrations and audiovisual materials to the adult education center or the classroom. Again, TV can be both the instructive and enjoyable. Documentaries and films are also used as teaching aids. A documentary film is defined as a non-fiction motion picture dealing creatively with cultural, artistic, historical, social, economic or other subjects. It may be photographed in actual occurrence or may employ partial reenactment, still animation, slow motion or other techniques, as long as the emphasis is on factual content and not on fiction. A short film is defined as a motion picture that is not more than 30 minutes in running time. Documentaries and films are instructional aids that assist an instructor or teachers to transmit factual information, enhance skills, change attitudes and develop understanding on specific issues and programs relevant to the learners. Documentaries and films clarify concepts and help in retention of knowledge gained. They can be used for depicting the histories of leaders, people of different places, animals, planets, scientific discoveries and so on. Films and documentaries appeal to the emotions of the learners and certainly have a desirable influence upon the learners. A short film showing wide application of government programs may be used for giving information to the learners. Film Division of India, belonging to the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, produces documentaries and news magazines for publicity of government programs and for cinematic record of Indian history. Documentaries and films produced by the Directorate of Adult Education, by SRCs, and by various departments of the Government of India and NGOs can be very useful for showing to the learners. Let us look at this short film produced by Directorate of Adult Education. While using documentaries and films as teaching aids, the instructor must remember that more important than the film is the method of showing it. All necessary arrangements for a projector, operator, a suitable place, etc. will have to be made in advance, well in advance. The day, date and time of screening should be informed in advance so that the learners come in large numbers to see the film. Films should be selected according to the needs and interests of the learners. After the film has been shown, there should be a questioning, there should be comments and discussions. It is only then that the learning will be enhanced. Projectors, VCR, VCPs and DVD players are used for digital storytelling or during lecture discussions, film or documentary shows. There are two types of projectors used. The first one is the overhead projector and the other is the slide projector. The overhead projector is used along with the screen and is used to project the content or the figures on the screen. The transparencies can be easily prepared by the instructor or teacher by writing directly into the transparency acetate sheets with special OHP pens. The slide projector is used to play the slides, pictures or still pictures on the screen. Many slide projectors are available with different types of slide carriers and storage trays. Some are manual and others are by remote control and others are controlled remotely. Besides, there are some models with timing devices for automatic slide changing. Video cassette recorders or VCRs and video cassette players are now largely replaced by compact disc or CDs, CD players and digital video discs or DVDs. These can be used by the instructor or the teacher in the literacy center. There are variety of educational DVDs developed by various institutions and NGOs available in the market. In India, Directorate of Adult Education in New Delhi and the state resource centers in the states have produced a number of CDs, especially for the adult learners. Today, computers in its various forms like desktop, laptop, tablets, etc. have assumed great importance at all levels of education. This is the basic machine on which all other electronic media of learning depend. Several state resource centers have developed digital primers which are increasingly used in many states of India today. It is reported that these have reduced the period of acquiring literacy skills by 1/3. In a short time, the learner starts practicing and learning on the computers on his own. Along with literacy skills, the learner also acquires computer skills, and this is essential today. The computers bring the learners to a world of entertainment. They also make learning very interesting by providing computer-based educational games. Computers are used by learners to play computer-based educational games. These are also played through television screens. The computers make use of multimedia programs which include attractive colors, clear graphics, wonderful sounds, the fascinating animations and enjoyable videos discharging various areas of learning according to the needs and interest of the learners. In the recent times, the computer has brought about a tremendous change in the way world looks at teaching aids. With the advent of internet technology, the use of computer as a part of today's educational aid has become inevitable. It opens a whole new world to the learner. Information on weather forecasts, market prices of commodities, new goods available to the customers are all very useful information to the farmers. More than the computers, it is now the mobile phones and access to social media that has brought the whole world closer. However, this is yet to be put to judicious use in the area of adult literacy. Interactive electronic whiteboard or smart board is another tool. Interactive electronic whiteboards of today, also known as smart boards, are the latest and modern aids that can be used in the classroom or in the literacy center. These need a computer, an overhead projector and a preloaded educational software. The electronic whiteboard is user friendly, offering a lot of interaction to its user. It is a colorful aid in the hands of the instructor or the teachers. With interactive whiteboards, instructors can teach and save their content with important points which they want to revise and save it in the computer files. That this cannot be done through traditional boards. Due to this, time factor is reduced and also the teacher is not needed to write the same lessons each time on the board. Time has come to integrate the use of modern teaching aids into classroom for effective learning. But the main obstruction is that these are very costly equipments and require a lot of investment. For a long time, teaching could not be visualized without a teacher standing at the blackboard and using it extensively to communicate with the students. But instructors and teachers of today have to keep abreast with modern teaching aids available to them and select appropriate aids that are available for the learner group and at the same time be the best suited for to communicate the lessons. In this module, various modern teaching aids were briefly explained. The use of these teaching aids will certainly augment learning. Thank you.